Paranatural Podcast. My name is Ben.
And I'm Danica Patrick.
You are not nearly hot enough to be Danica Patrick. He's Jake. And tonight, we are so glad that you could join us as we talk about the spiciest and most flavorful of all the lycanthropes, the Cajun creature known as the Rougarou. Jacob, how you doing tonight, buddy?
Indigestion. Love it. I'm good. I'm really good. That just adds on to the good. How are you?
I'm doing great, buddy. I'm doing great.
It's been a while.
It's been a while, but hey, look, guys, if you're listening, you know, you can say one of these to us.
Oh, you want me to say motherfucker to you?
And all we have to say is,
oh, I'm sorry.
But look, life happens. And this is free, so don't bitch too much. We love you, but we don't owe you shit. Okay?
And when life happens, we hope you turn not to your psychologist, but to your favorite podcast, the Paranatural Podcast.
Right. We have a back episode you can listen to if you miss us that much. And we have some extra content over on Patreon, patreon.com/paranaturalpodcast. So you can join us there and listen to some more of us if you like. And if you can't afford the $5 a month, we understand. But if you could share the show with a friend, that would be great. That would help us grow. And even if we take a couple weeks off, trust us, we'll be back.
Yeah.
We love you, but we don't know you shit.
That's right. That's right. We're taking time out of our day. You take time out of your day to listen to it, that's fine. So I'd say it's about even. We do this shit. You listen, we're already even. Don't get mad at us for not posting for a little bit.
Right.
If you're not mad, still love you. You're number one.
But
if you are mad,
we'll try not to take impromptu breaks, but it's going to happen from time to time.
Yeah, I had this massive hemorrhoid.
Got to get some preparation H on that motherfucker.
Yeah, I'm sitting on the biggest donut in the world right now.
Instant cooling.
And if you don't buy that, I was in Mel's hole again. Or Mel. Mel is actually the name of my hemorrhoid, and he's got a story of his own.
It's in your hole. Anyway. All right, on that note, Jacob, are you ready to talk about Rougarous?
You know I am.
Cajun werewolves. So, for all intents and purposes, that we've already covered this, that is what a Rougarou is. It is a werewolf-type creature from Cajun folklore down there in the bayou of Louisiana.
Closely related to the leprechaun of Iceland.
I don't think that's true.
Oh.
It does trace its roots back to Europe, though.
See?
Which is
so
close
right.
enough. So, Rougarou stories have been told by the Cajun people of Louisiana for generations, right? A few hundred years now.
And Ben's going to do his bayou accent
Maybe later.
through this entire episode.
I'm not that good. I do, whenever I read or say Rougarou, I have a really hard time not talking like Troy Landry. Shout out Swamp People. Anyway.
Yeah. See, I want to make it sound more like Scooby-Doo.
Shoot him, Jacob, shoot him. Anyway, so the origin of the Rougarou legend goes back to even before Louisiana and the Cajun Bayou people. I don't know how they actually say it. You can actually trace it back to medieval France, where it was known as le loup-garou, which is French for fucking werewolf.
Sounds like you got a loogie in your throat.
Yeah, it's most French words, actually.
Yeah.
No offense to our French friends, but that's most of French.
Oui.
Loup-garou stories became very prevalent during the 16th century. Now,
Good year.
this was a time of great change all across Europe and the world, really. This was a time when Renaissance thinking and culture had spread, bringing Europe out of the Dark Ages and pushing it towards our, more modern thinking. I had a stroke.
3 of them, I think.
maybe 4. More and more countries during this time began turning their attention towards the Americas and the promise of the resources and riches that this quote-unquote new world had to offer. Trade with East Asia was becoming more common as ship and sailing technology evolved and made it so that such trade could be done on water and was no longer confined to the use of the Silk Road. Jake's sleeping. I'm putting him to sleep right now with the history lesson. Most of the changes that occurred during the 16th century with the Lougarou stories were thought to be changes toward the better, but it was a very problematic time. The trade with East Asia and, the Americas, it totally disrupted the economic system that was in place in Europe at the time. Gold lost its value as more gold came from the Americas. Spice trade, lost its value as it became easier to get them. One of the more disruptive things, though, was that people began to move away from the teachings of the Catholic Church and to begin following other sects of Christianity, which caused vast religious upheaval and rifts between groups of people who practiced different religious beliefs. In some cases, the division between groups was such that acts of violence and murder were encouraged against the people of an opposing faith. I'm a history buff. This is interesting to me. If you're falling asleep like Jake is, go ahead and skip forward a little bit. But all of that is just to say that, things were rough back then. And so Lougarou stories began to emerge as a way to, accuse, outsiders of things. Now, we're familiar with the witch hunt thing, right? Which is, droughts and famines and disease were said to be the work of witches. And they would accuse a witch and hang her or burn her or whatever. But for other things, they blamed la Lougarou. Okay? So, if your house gets ransacked, Lougarou. One of your cattle gets mutilated, Lougarou. One of the village children goes missing, that's definitely a Lougarou. They would blame pretty much any random act on a Lougarou. And there are some now who believe that these stories started with actually what would have been really early serial killers. So, if you've seen the Dahmer thing, keep that in mind. He might have been a Lougarou. And I can't, it kind of makes me laugh to think about what this would be like in modern times, right? Blaming a Lougarou for shit. So it'd be you come home late one night and you walk in the door and your house is just trashed, right? All your shit scattered around, your TV and your laptop and your fucking toaster are missing, right? So you call the cops and they come out and investigate and they do a report and they're like, yep, looks like the work of a werewolf. Here you go. Here's your shit. So.
Well, it's like that one lady off of Billy Madison. Who took 30 box lunches? It was that damn Sasquatch.
Damn Sam Squanch. Yeah, it was like that. No, obviously, to our modern thinking, this is an absurd way to be. But to the people at the time, it was perfectly rational fucking thinking. I know.
I mean, well, go back, is she healing quick? Let's burn her.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that lady read a book. Burn her! She's a witch.
If she can't swim with a giant stone tied to her, she's a human.
She's a human. Oops. Sorry about that.
But now we know, and knowing is half the battle.
But it was a lot the same with the Lougarou, and a lot of people they don't realize this. The werewolf thing, especially in France, was a huge thing. And it was to the extent, much like the witch hunt, when anything would happen, the villagers would go out hunting for and capture someone whom they suspected of being la Lougarou, right? Now, generally, this would be a person who was kind of a bit of an outcast, maybe. Someone who lived in the village but was maybe a little strange and not as friendly. Or somebody who lived in a forest nearby and kind of kept to themselves. They would be accused. And if they didn't have somebody like this, but there was a stranger passing through, that guy was the Lougarou. And they would capture him and bring him in for a, air quotes, trial.
Yeah.
And in reality, it was not anything like what we would call a trial.
Yeah.
There was No right to an attorney, no duly appointed judge, no jury of the accused peers, no evidence to speak of one way or the other, none of that stuff. Okay?
We haven't seen you around these parts. You a monster?
Pretty sure
You
you're a
are.
werewolf. So that's kind of what would happen too, is they would actually, like, the community leaders would form a court, right? And this quote unquote court would literally ask the people present if they believed the person was a fucking werewolf, right? And everybody would be like, yep, I think he is, because if they didn't, then they might get accused of being a werewolf at some later date, right? For
That makes
standing
sense.
against the crowd. I mean, obviously, if you
Yeah.
don't vote for the guy being a werewolf, you're obviously a werewolf. That's fucking just logic. And now, once this very fair and unbiased vote was taken, the equally fair and unbiased court would then sentence the accused person to death, and they would be executed. End of story. That's
What
where
type of execution.
generally hanging, but
That kills
also
werewolves?
I guess I don't know.
I feel like we gotta chop off a couple of hands here.
I mean, I would think fire, stab him with silver or something. I don't know, something. But now that is the origin. And when the same people who believed in the Loup-Garou began migrating to the New World, in this case to Louisiana and French Canada, I almost said Canada, French Canada, and then to Louisiana, they brought these culture and beliefs with them. But, as is virtually always the case, when brought to a new place, culture and beliefs change. So, to grossly oversimplify things, the aforementioned French immigrants would eventually become the people called Cajuns, and their language would evolve from traditional French into various regional dialects that were collectively called Cajun French, or in more recent times, Louisiana French. So, it's kind of a French-English mixture now, I guess. I don't know. I don't speak Cajun. I don't speak French either. I just pretend sometimes. Now, it was because of this shift in language that saw La Loup-Garou evolve into the Rougarou. Okay. Which just rolls off the tongue so much easier than the original French. Yeah, you don't got to. Sorry, French people.
Get that peanut butter off the roof of your mouth.
We still love you, French people, but your language sucks. But now you get something way more fun to say, which is Rougarou.
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 Oh.
Anyway. Now, for a very long time, Rougarou stories were passed on strictly by oral tradition. They weren't really written down anywhere. And usually these were parents telling their children about the creature and using it as a threat to make them behave. Kind of like a boogeyman. Yes, Jacob.
Oral tradition sounds a bit misleading.
But it kind of sounds sexual, so I'll roll with it, okay?
Anyway. It was spoken tradition. These were poor folk. They could not read or write. So the stories carried on mostly through just telling the stories.
The boogaboo of the Rougarou.
the boogaboo of the Rougarou. And so, yeah, it was like a boogeyman, right? Although, and I want to make this point, even though it's kind of tangential, to date, I have never met a kid that didn't know about the boogeyman, and I have never met a parent who told their kids about the boogeyman. Where the fuck do kids learn about the goddamn boogeyman?
Probably the thing under their bed tells them.
I mean, that could be. Okay, anyway, that might be a episode for a different time. Where the fuck do we learn about the boogeyman? Because it's kind of creepy. Anyway.
Yeah. Now looking back, I was never told about it, but I was always afraid of it.
Fucking facts. I always knew about the boogeyman, but I don't know where I learned about the motherfucker.
Jeff, under there. Hey. Where did I learn about this?
Anyway. Okay, that's tangent for now over.
Tangentially
Tangentially related.
Torrential downpour.
Perfect. In almost virtually every case, legends that come from more oral tradition instead of written tradition are full moral. That shit was funny as fuck.
Oral.
Anyway, stories are full of variation, and the Rougarou is no different.
Ooh.
So the first variation of the legend that I'll touch on is what kind of animal the Rougarou turns into.
Kangaroo.
Kangaroo. Kangaroo.
Duh.
Kangaroo guru. This episode's a mess. I love it.
Kangaroo guru.
So most commonly, obviously, the story maintained its French roots, and the creature is a type of wolf or man-wolf, werewolf, what have you. However, because wolves are not very common in Louisiana, a close second is a big white dog, followed by a deer, or a goose, or a rabbit, or just about any other ding-dang critter running around in the Louisiana swamp.
All the ones that look pretty similar.
Yeah,
Goose,
very big
deer.
and scary. Rabbits,
Yeah.
squirrel.
Gooses are definitely terrifying.
Goose says, I'm not fucking with. All right, I'm not talking about fucking cobra chickens. All right, we're leaving that alone.
I would fuck with a moose before I fuck with a goose.
That's facts. No.
Especially a garden moose.
Garden moose. Throwback to the rake. Go listen to that episode. It also was a mess and very, very fun.
Yes.
Now, another variation in the legend is in the way a Rougarou is made. That kind of changes with the region that the story comes from and the telling of the story. And it's not unfair to say that if every variation was compiled, we would have an entire cookbook dedicated to Rougarou recipes. Because Cajun food. Anyway.
Where's your thing? There you go.
I got better than that for later. One of these Rougarou recipes actually carries over from the original French tellings. And in this version, it is a specifically Catholic person who becomes a Rougarou if they fail to follow the rules of Lent for 7 consecutive years.
What?
Yeah.
Shit.
So if you don't follow Lent for 7 consecutive years, you can turn into a Rougarou.
Better pick something easy that year. Or 7 years. And only eat fish on Fridays.
Isn't that a rule all the time?
Yes.
I thought so.
No, just during Lent.
Are you sure? Catholics help us out here. We need some Catholics. Get in the Facebook group. Tell us if we're dumb. Because I was pretty sure it was like no fish on Fridays or something all the time.
I'm pretty sure it's just during Lent.
I know some Catholics. I'll ask them.
I know Catholics too.
I actually went into a Catholic church 2 weekends ago.
Oh, I went in a Catholic church about 10 years ago.
I wasn't sure I was going to be allowed. It was my first time. Anyway.
I wasn't allowed to kneel down on the thing.
I didn't even try. Anyway, of course, the Cajuns being Cajuns, they had to add a little spice to that original legend. And I know. In some stories that evolved from that story, the Rougarou does not become a Rougarou by not following Lent, but instead he chases after Catholics that don't follow the rules of Lent. Yeah, it gets a little twisted. Another page in our Cajun Werewolf Cookbook shares this recipe for whipping up a Rougarou. First, you got to cut up some onion and garlic and some potatoes and add a little bit of peppers and some okra and sausage. And, oh, my bad, that is a recipe for gumbo.
Andouille sausage. Gotta use andouille.
Sorry, I couldn't help it.
Does gumbo have potatoes in it?
I don't fucking know. I think.
I don't
know. I didn't actually look up a recipe for gumbo. I watched some Louisiana redneck looking dude that was wearing fucking he was wearing pit vipers.
I know who you're talking about. Derek loves him.
Anyway. Okay, back to real Rougarou stuff.
Yeah, the kangaroo guru.
The kangaroo guru. So another common way that a person becomes a Rougarou is by, of course, being cursed. The curse usually comes from a witch, but can, on occasion, be placed upon a person by a powerful practitioner of voodoo.
It's a big thing in Louisiana.
It's kind of a big thing in Louisiana. Some tellings of the curse cause do not specify a time limit on the curse, while others do. In the time limit version, the afflicted person will remain a Rougarou for 101 days, unless they can pass the curse to someone else.
Through a kiss.
No, that is not one on the list, but there are a few different ways. One of the most common is by drawing of blood. Now, it's not the Rougarou who has to draw blood. How this goes is that someone encounters a Rougarou at night, of course, because they only come out at night. In the day, they're people again. And the Rougarou gets the person to draw 1 or 3 drops of its blood, which is really fucking specific. Now, once this occurs, the blood drawer is now the holder of the spell. Okay, you following? So if you draw Rougarou's blood, you now hold the curse. But you don't exactly change right away. Just hold with me here. The original Rougarou, being now free of the spell, will immediately transform back into its human form and will tell the drawer of the blood / curse holder who they are. So the Rougarou turns back into a human and says, hey, my name is Ted, right? Whatever. Now, being that we are talking about fairly small rural communities here, the person is usually someone that the new curse carrier knows or has at least heard of. Okay? At this point, you would think that the new curse carrier would be doomed, but not so fast. For you see, there are rules to this game, and the outcome can go one of 2 ways. If the spell holder, so the person who drew the Rougarou's blood, can keep his or her big yap shut about the event for 1 year and 1 day, they're good. No becoming a Rougarou. But if they tell anybody, their goose is cooked, and the curse becomes effective.
Leap year has fucked so many people.
It is a little bit contrived. However, according to the legends, the people who can't keep their lip zipped usually wind up committing suicide instead of becoming a Rougarou. So
I was thinking it had like an emo vibe to it.
a little bit.
Once you started saying about the drawing blood and yep.
So
those are Rougarous.
this is one of like the few accounts that I could actually find of this, and I'll explain that later. But so one account of a lady from Lockport, taken from Werewolves on Bayou Lafourche, written by Jean Sarrazin or Jean Sarrazin, I'm not sure, Laura Krause and Donald Krinsman, tells of a somewhat personal experience with the Rougarou that follows this particular version of the legend. So here we go. Quote, there were 10 children in the family, and all of them were up crying that night. I didn't get up for some reason, but a year or so later, one of the brothers killed himself. This boy was always veilling, veiller to stay up all night, whatever. He was up all night, or hanging around with the other boys at night. One night he was walking home, he was always the last to leave, when he noticed a little white dog following him, snapping at his heels. He took out his pocket knife and cut the dog on the right foot. A loup-garou is a man who sells his soul to the devil and assumes the body of an animal. He can't be released until he is cut. The boy wasn't supposed to tell what had happened for a year and a day after he had seen the white dog turn into a man. But after it happened, he ran home and told his family. The next day, a prominent physician appeared in town with his right arm cut and in a sling. The dog, of course, resumes his human form in day. I remember when the physician shot himself here in Lockport. A year later, the boy killed himself and left a letter that the family turned over to the sheriff. Even today, he refuses to let anyone see it. So that's the story of a boy that cut a Rougarou and just bad stuff happened.
So, is it a pretty safe assumption that when he's staying up with the other boys, it's like a soggy biscuit type of dilemma?
Oh,
Anyway. Why you gotta be like that?
You know how I am.
Anyway, there is one other way that a person can become a Rougarou. And really, I'm only mentioning it because of the fact that it is the most common method of lycanthrope affliction spoken of in the modern day. You can become a Rougarou if you get bit by a Rougarou.
That doesn't make any sense.
Rougarou rabies.
Kangaroo rabies.
Kangaroo rabies. Holy shit, say that 10 times fast.
I got a headache saying it one time fast. Or one time.
Despite all the various ways that one may become a Rougarou, we're in luck because there are a few ways to stay safe and keep the Rougarou away. That's right, folks. I found Rougarou-acillin. I just made that one up.
Goodness, Ben.
So apparently, according to some of the stories, there is a leaf that can be rolled up and kept in your wallet to ward it off.
Tobacco leaf, right?
I don't know. I couldn't find what specific leaf that might be, which is less than helpful. But I guess if you are real worried about it, you can just roll up every different kind of leaf you come across and go around like a walking lawn waste bag, I guess. I don't know. Just stuff your pockets full of leaves, and maybe one of them will be the right one.
I'm gonna hope for a tobacco leaf and just keep a nice SC cigar in my pocket. Yeah. Get that at the wedding?
Yeah, actually.
Yeah.
Anyway, another one is that old women would keep the Rougarou at bay by painting some sort of hexagon shape on the floor of their house. Again, not specific enough to be truly helpful, but better than nothing, I guess. Just a hexagon shape. Some sort of hexagon shape. Didn't say an exact hexagon shape, some sort of hexagon shape.
And we all know a hexagon has 7 sides, everyone.
Yeah, okay, we'll go with that. There are also certain prayers that can be said that will keep you Rougarou free. But only certain ones will work. And apparently, nobody is willing to share them with the rest of the class, so moving on. I couldn't find out what prayers those were either.
What help are you?
Well,
Tear
now...
some leaves, draw some sort of shape, and say your prayers.
Now, look, since we are so thoroughly armed by the extraordinarily helpful and specifically detailed ways to stop a Rougarou that I just mentioned, one more might seem like overkill. But one can never have too many options. So,
come on, 12 gauge.
It is said that you can protect yourself from a Rougarou by placing 13 small objects by your door. Now, I know what you're thinking. It's because the number 13 has some magic, right? Nope. Apparently, when a person changes into a Rougarou, they forget how to count past 12. So, I love the look on your face right now. The Rougarou will approach your door and see the 13 objects. Compelled by the power of fucking reasons, the Rougarou will then absolutely positively be forced to stop and count the objects in his path. Since he will be unable to count them all, he will get real confused and try to count them again.
That was one of my vampires, wasn't it?
I guess, sort of.
Yeah.
Kinda.
You throw a thing of rice and they have to count every single one.
Now, this very logical and not at all nonsense that someone pulled out of their ass will continue all night long until the sun comes up and forces Count Barkula to flee.
Jeez, imagine how mindfucked they're going to get when you lay down like 20 items.
I mean, that's what I was wondering why you had to stop at 13.
Yeah, no kidding. Like, go to a girl's store, you're going to run out of, like, she's got 20 shoes right there.
Like anything. I don't know.
19 if she's one-legged.
For anything that's not a derivative of 12, I think would work. Like, 17 or like 31. I don't know why we have to stop at 13, but it says 13.
Putting 14 out. If I live till tomorrow, you know it's not 13. I'm willing to do this for you guys.
Now, I'm going to level with everybody here. Okay. I was really not expecting to find out what I found out about the Rougarou. In reality, like really, I'm not even lying to everybody. Like, I spent a lot of time researching this. And what I found was that, like, nobody really believes in this thing, yo.
What?
I'm serious. There are very few, like I mentioned before, I found very few witness accounts. Because everybody who tells this story just tells it like a boogeyman story.
Mm-hmm.
And I looked and looked, and I mean, there's some here and there, but it's not anywhere. I expected like a Dogman thing or like a Sasquatch type creature or Beast of Bray Road type deal, something. And I found none of that, which is also very interesting since it comes from like the Lougarou legends, which people very much fucking believed in.
I mean, from that story you told, like, people are too afraid to tell. Like, people are smart, I guess.
You know, that is also a thought that I had. And it's not so much too afraid to tell, but let's assume for a moment that this is a real creature.
I'm assuming.
You're talking about very rural, very small communities where if you saw something unbelievable, you probably would shut the fuck up about it because you don't want to get like made fun of, right?
I never minded.
Well, okay, not everybody's you. Not everybody's me. But a lot of people, and these are also like, not to, you know, what's the word I'm looking for here? Stereotype people.
Oh.
But a lot of people in this region are very self-sufficient fucking people that are not very big on outsiders. Like, I'm not saying they're not welcoming or hospitable people, but they're not going to share a lot of their shit with outsiders.
Yeah, no food for you.
They'll feed you. You ever seen the pots of gumbo these motherfuckers make? They're huge.
Yeah, especially with potatoes in it, Ben.
I don't know. Somebody tell me if gumbo's got potatoes.
Sausage.
I don't fucking know.
Doesn't have potatoes. I know that for damn sure.
But really, like, other than like feeding you and stuff, they're probably not gonna like tell you a lot about their legends or if they seen a fucking Rougarou or whatever.
Rougarou.
And so, yeah, unfortunately, even with my Google Foo, I could not find a lot of like, I got some Google Foo. I can find some bullshit on the fucking internet.
I'm surprised you didn't have a book on it.
I fucking looked for one. There wasn't really one.
People are good at keeping their mouths shut. They don't want to be Rougarou'd.
Like, one of the only like search results that pulled up for a Rougarou sighting was this story that was like, I don't even know how they got Rougarou out of this. A lady found a dead bobcat in her driveway. And then took a picture of a dark spot in the trees that if you squint real hard, twist your head to the left and shut the lights off, looks sort of like a wolf head. Sort of, kind of.
Look like a Rougarou right
like,
now.
Yeah, exactly. Like, Jake was tilting his head to the side and squinting real hard. Yeah, if you do that, you can make anything look like anything you want. That was like the best evidence for an actual Rougarou that I could find. And it was stupid.
Sounds convincing. We should definitely believe it.
I mean,
it has to be a Rougarou to take out a bobcat. Rougarou or a truck.
So, yeah, I mean, like, other than that, it just seems to be, like, just a story that people tell, which doesn't, in my opinion, like, make it less interesting because boogeyman stories have a place in the world, too. It's just not usually what we do here.
So what I think is going on with the whole Rougarou thing is it's not quite as advanced as we are, and it's still in the don't ask, don't tell rule.
I mean, that could be. That could be. All I know is, like, the internet is usually crawling with people who claim to have seen shit like this in most cases. Not this one.
Well, I mean, if it's crawling with people, maybe they're Rougarous. Most people walk.
But yeah, between that and the fact that no story agrees what the fuck a Rougarou is or does or whatever.
Can't count.
I'm like, okay, some of them can't count. The other
some
one,
of them are gooses.
So like there's the blood draw thing, right? The getting bit thing, the whatever. But some stories say that like you can't turn into a Rougarou unless you eat human flesh. But for the most part, when the Rougarou is talked about, it is significantly less violent than like a European werewolf.
Well, yeah, but like with the human flesh thing, it's going on the like Wendigo type thing, ain't it?
Sort of, which, you know, the especially the ones that were in Canada first and then moved down to Louisiana, they would have mixed with the people who told legends of the Wendigo. So they would have mixed that in and carried that with them, and then that mixed in with the Rougarou, which that kind of history makes this a fascinating topic to me. Because what you're looking at is a mix of culture in one monster, right? They took the French Loup-garou and they added a little bit of Native American skinwalker in with it. and then some Wendigo, right? And they kind of stirred it all
with the
together.
shape shifting and stuff.
Yeah. And they stirred it
Yeah.
all together, and you have a Rougarou, which to me, that shit is fascinating.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, it's just not what usually we do on this show. And I was a little taken aback when I found out that this was not like the things we normally do on this show. And I just wanted to be upfront with everybody and tell them, hey, sometimes shit's just not what you think it is. And that's okay.
Yeah. It is.
So, yeah, there you go. That's what I've got on the Rougarou.
Rougarou.
Rougarou. And despite it being, you know, a little different than our normal fodder, I really hope everybody was entertained at least and enjoyed learning about this fairy tale creature from Cajun folklore.
It's a fairy tale.
It's a bushy tail though, because it's a wolf. All right, Jacob, you got anything, buddy?
Oh, okay. Yeah, I just want to like throw some things out.
Throw some things out there.
Yeah, I want to do that. So like, it's werewolf,
Mhm.
more or less. Does it have like when you were talking about the goose and like the moose and the garden moose and lawn gnomes and all that stuff? Does that mean it can shapeshift, or is it like bound to one?
So I think the way it goes is whatever that Rougarou turns into. I think from the way it sounded to me, it does not willingly shapeshift. So even if it turns into like a weregoose, right? Which is fucking stupid and terrifying all at the same time.
Can't get scarier than a normal goose.
That's the way it felt like to me. Although I'm sure if you dug a little bit further, you would find like shapeshifter like powers in some of the stories, right?
Yeah, because like, I mean, because right now it sounds like they pull straws and whoever gets the short straw becomes the were-dung beetle.
Were-turtle.
That's where the alligator snappers come from.
Oh, them things are vicious.
Yeah, they are. Bite force of 1,000 pounds.
Oof. They're big too. Down there, they get fucking big.
Yeah, they could take your hand off.
But yeah, it's just kind of like
drawn straws.
Yeah, sort of.
Yeah. Okay. Next, you mentioned how to keep them at bay, like the counting thing, cutting them. How do you kill one?
Hang it, I guess. No, fucking no.
Okay. Just saying.
Well, so
if I see a little white puppy coming my way, I want to know how to kill it.
So you would think like the silver bullet thing would be in effect.
Yeah.
However, that doesn't enter werewolf legend until the 1700s. I think it was 1700s or 1800s. And the Lougarou, which started the Rougarou stories, was in the like 1500s and 1600s. So I don't think those two parts of legend crossed in there. So I'm pretty sure you can just hang it or light it on fire or something, like when it's in human form.
Unless it evolved and you're going to have to cap this mother F in the heart with a silver bullet, dismember it, burn it, and say a prayer over its burnt, discarded remains.
That might be what you got to do. Or kick it in the dick. I don't know.
A dick kick will work on anything except for a goose. Those are just were-goose.
Maybe if you be a good Catholic boy and you follow the Lent procedure, you can stop being a Rougarou.
Yeah, so Lent, no whacking off. You turn into a...
You said pick something you can follow.
Huh?
You said pick something you can stick to.
All right. Don't be a Lions fan.
No floating orb or...
Oh, shit. Wrong button.
No floating orb.
No floating orb. I don't know. I hit the wrong button.
What kind of buttons you got on there?
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Should be.
I got all kinds of buttons on here. You know that.
I do, but like, there's still ones I haven't heard.
Oh, for sure.
I'm the king of the castle, and you're the dirty rascal.
That was just a random button to make Jake look confused.
It worked.
Which is really,
Okay.
really great considering this is an audio medium and nobody can see your face.
Yeah, I'm hoping my silence. They're like, Jake's definitely looking around. Like, did anyone else hear this shit? Jeff under my bed's hearing this shit, and he's whispering things into my head. All right. Let me muster up one more question. Okay, so aside from the drawn straws, like, it comes from such a long line to where people actually did worry about this, to the point where like committees were together and like juries were happening, that kind of stuff.
Which was in France, remember, not in Louisiana.
Right. But like, what's the second language of Louisiana? It's French.
Right.
So like, you would think there has to be a lot more about like what a Rougarou is. Like, there's got to be more to it. They're just like, I'm almost thinking they're like so in depth with like legends that they won't spill the beans on stories or anything. Like, what's the one that you're not supposed to talk about?
The Skinwalker.
Fucking Skinwalker. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. You're out in the woods and you're not even supposed to mention it. Otherwise, there he is. So like, maybe that also got passed along.
I mean, potentially. And it's like I said, I did have the thought that these people are not the type of people that are going to tell you, I saw a Rougarou. They're just not.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. I'm like walking home from work, and a puppy dog walks up to me, and I slice it. I'm not gonna like go bragging Facebook, hey, I just sliced down a Bichon Frise,
Well, I mean, like,
or however they're pronounced.
even let's, take all of that away. Let's
I
say
just
that
sliced
there's
down a Yorkie.
some sort of like dogman creature running around in the swamps or a werewolf. You're not going to tell people that. Not these types of people.
Oh, look at your freaking lizard man.
That was a different place. Different
I
type
know,
of people.
but like,
They told fucking everybody.
I know, but it seemed like a little niche community right there.
But it's a different type of community. Your Cajun Bayou people are a whole different breed. And I don't mean to stereotype, and I say with real like respect. These are very self-sufficient people. Very close-knit community people. And like I said, on the whole, very hospitable people. But not trusting of outsiders.
But look at how many like witchcraft stories come out of the bayou.
Do they come out of the bayou, or do they come out of New Orleans where they make money off the shit?
I mean, so I've looked up a lot of stories, a lot of videos, and I mean, I can't really put a difference in accents, like from like just show me your boobs kind of Louisiana people to like the Bayou people, but like when they got French spin on it and literally they just talk about their family in the video or like the story, you gotta think they're trying to keep it to themselves, but they need someone else to hear it to like react. Like, say you see something real messed up, you don't want to talk about it, but like you feel better writing about it on video. Like, say a skinwalker. If I saw a skinwalker, I will never mention the word skinwalker again. But I'm gonna
That's probably
type
safe.
it. Yeah, I'll type it. Like, hey, internet, Reddit, what do I do? And they'll be like, you're fake, your mom's fat, blah, blah, blah.
I mean, I do get where you're coming from, and yet at the same time, try and get someone of the Dine, which is the Navajo word for Navajo. That's what they call themselves. Okay, the Dine. Try to get one of them to tell you about skinwalkers. They're not gonna fucking do it.
It's the people who, like older school, they won't, but like, look at the Amish community. People get shunned, people get excommunicated, and they'll come clean with like horror stories from that kind of stuff. Like I was just reading stories yesterday on how they do some funerals in the sects.
Whoa, funeral sex. We're not doing that on this show anyway.
Well, no. Tune in next week for necrophilia.
Oh, no, he's kidding.
But like apparently they have to like let the body ferment for 3 days if it didn't get shunned, if the person didn't get shunned, and people have to stay up for 3 days watching it to make sure it doesn't move.
That's a whole different thing, though.
Rah.
There are actually a lot of like death vigil type, things that happen in various cultures.
I know,
That's
but they're
that
not
weird.
supposed to talk to the English, yet they come forward and talk about that stuff because they get kicked out of the community.
But even then, it's one thing to talk about your traditions and a whole nother thing to talk about the werewolf that lives in the swamp next to your house. Those are two way different things.
When I was in northern Michigan, I had a werewolf in the swamps next to my house called Wexford County, known as the Dog Man. And I told everyone about it. I saw a dog man.
You're not a Cajun bayou dweller.
I ate Cajun food once. You know how to pronounce andouille sausage.
Well, fuck, there goes all my arguments. Then
I know potatoes don't go in gumbo.
They might.
They don't. You were right with the peppers and the onions.
You gotta cut a little bit of pepper. You gotta put in some seasoning.
Seasoning. Yeah. Don't accidentally put an M in that. That turns into some odd tasting gumbo.
Very salty. Anyway.
How do you know, Ben? Let's get into that, Ben. Every guy's answer, I've been told.
Yeah, exactly.
But how long can you trust men?
Anyway. Got anything else, Jacob?
There's a lot that I want to know about this, but I'm pretty sure you told everything that you've
I pretty
found.
much told you everything I could find on this fucking topic. I really wish I could have found more because it really was fascinating to me, even with what it turned out to be.
Yeah, I'm making a Reddit thread.
Maybe that's the way to go. And if we can find out anything really cool, we'll just do like a Rougarou Pot 2.
Yeah, with like, cause like that story it's neat because like it shows how scared people are of the legend, yet nothing is coming to the surface. I feel like you got to dig deep, like real deep for it.
I mean, maybe that's the case, and maybe it's like I said, and like everybody kind of professes to. We don't believe in this thing down here. We tell our kids about it so that they'll stay their ass out of the swamp. We tell our kids about it so that they'll be good Catholics, or the Rougarou will get them.
Yeah, but
It's a
like,
boogeyman.
But like, I don't know. Like,
I'm not sure which way it really goes. I would love to know.
So look at like different areas. Like you got that witch that is said to be on whatever bridge that is. You got hauntings in certain institutions. You've got the dog man, you got Bigfoot, you got the goat man, you got all that. Like, a lot of people are going to be like, you're fucking nuts. But then, like, there's a small group that's going to be like, too terrified, like skinwalkers. You're too terrified to say the name. Like, even if you don't fully believe, but you know enough about skinwalkers, you go outside and say skinwalker. I guarantee you don't feel quite as safe as you did.
Yeah, you
So,
got a
like,
point.
So
And
even
yet,
if
like I said, the originators of that legend won't talk about it.
right, that's why I'm thinking you got to dig real deep. Like, there's got to be someone who came forward. Like, teenagers are idiots.
Oh, I mean,
I know because I was one.
like I said, you can find stories of people that have seen them.
Yeah, but like, I'm not looking for a dark wolf shape.
Right. And that's a lot of
Yeah.
what you get.
Yeah, I feel you. Like, some of the stories I've told on here, I had to dig.
Yeah, you
Like,
got to dig for them.
Yeah, I spent the whole week researching. Like, luckily, my next week, I already did all my research. But
We'll keep digging at this one because this one's really got me
Yeah.
fascinated. And
Yeah,
if
I'm
I can
definitely-
find anything, we can find anything, we'll let you know.
yeah, if we don't even have enough for another episode, I'll just like tag some
Randomly chuck
articles
it in
on-
somewhere. Yeah, something.
on our Facebook or website or something.
We'll let you know.
Yeah,
This is our show. We'll just do a short little Rougarou part 2. It's fine.
fuck
Whatever.
yeah. We'll do a 5-minute episode, and you have nothing to say about it because half of you don't comment. Well, 99% of you don't comment. Comment, you might have a say, but we won't listen.
Right. Get in the Facebook group and talk to us, and we might listen.
Yeah. Talk about that one ghost that in Japan culture where it asked if she's pretty, and if you answer wrong, she rips your face off.
Oh,
or
I
something.
totally want to do a yokai episode.
So do I.
They're fucking.
Yokai's got some nuts
Oh,
stuff.
legit.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, okay. Okay.
Anyway, so for tonight, we're gonna cut it down there, and we're gonna say thank you very much for listening. We hope you enjoyed it. If you did, share the show with a friend and get in our Facebook group and all that good stuff. And thank you so much for listening, which I'm pretty sure I already said. And until next time, good night.
Rougarou!